They ask me who I am. For the culture. Yeah. They ask me who I am. I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They ask me where I'm from. I told them you can pick your side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahweh, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they ask me who I am. I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. When I say Israelite, they say you Jewish. Look, don't be foolish. Come get a dose of this mental renewing. See how we brew it, it's just different. Like, for instance, first thing to know, bro, this a culture, no religion. Talking the bloodline, they say we Jacob children. And yeah, that's a factor, but what really matter, how we living? Given that we gotta get Beseda, that mean in order. For that we got that Torah, some brothers we got Basora. Of course, and some don't believe, but that don't matter today. I ain't trying to throw no shade, as long as we all stay in the way. That 613, we coolin' like palm trees. A couple that got, yeah, ain't no fam, know what I mean. They ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They ask me where I'm from, I told them you can pick your side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah's, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. He said that we the light, got no choice but to shine. By the sweat of your brow, now you see why we grind, how we do, and we move to keep that ruach in our midst. When we eat, I got a list. Wanna build, break out them scripts. We don't hate and we don't diss. We ain't worried about another. He called us his firstborn. You can call us big brother. Look deeper and you'll discover. In your movies and shows, truth been exposed. What you know about those captured and sold. The Igbo and the Ashanti. Check out your history, never lost. Ain't gotta find me. Right where we meant to be, rebellion. Led to expulsion, repentance, fix that. God, I get back. I get caught on big facts. They ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They ask me where I'm from, I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah's, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. And we ain't saying this our salvation or nothing, but
yeah.
The Most High just put his name on it, so we represent.
Welcome everyone to another segment of YAH Conscience Radio. Where if it's not YAH Conscience, it's not acceptable. ראשית אנחנו רוצים לתת כבוד ושבח ליהוה עליון אלוהי אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. First, we want to give honor and praise to the Most High, He or it that causes us to be or exist, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am joined with my lovely panelists, co-panelists. We have Geberet Kathy, we have Akhot Sharon, and we have Chief Prince Zabulan. Shalom, shalom. How y'all doing? Y'all good? Y'all muted. Everybody muted.
Yeah. Shalom, good over here.
Hallelujah, shalom, shalom.
Yeah. Hallelujah. We got an interesting topic today. It's interesting. Without a foundation, it cannot stand. I purposely left it like that. You know, it could be marriage, it could be community, it could be friendship, you know, it could be children. So what's y'all thoughts on that? Do you think we need a foundation in order for whatever it might be to stand, or do you think, you know, doing the willy-nilly is a road to success? Anybody?
Absolutely. Like yeah, you have to have a foundation. It's very important. You have to have something that can hold when things get rough. something that both couples can go back to when things get rough. And that is that foundation, that's that understanding, that's that bond. Even when something as simple as, even when you build a house, when people build a house, they just not want to just build sticks in the dirt. They build a foundation first for the house to stand. So it's the same thing metaphorically with relationships. Absolutely.
Gang.
Agreed.
What you think? The better, Kathy. What you think?
I totally agree. A foundation is like a map. You know what I mean? You have to have some sort of map in order to guide you to where you want to be. You just can't. Well, you can just take a road trip, but it's always best to have some sort of direction about where you want to be. But that still is, in my opinion, regards to foundation. Because you can stray away. Anyone can stray away, but if you have that foundation, at some point in time, you know what to revert back to, or at least that was there, at some point in time, in your life.
Hallelujah. Chief, what's your thoughts?
Ain't not much more to offer to that. I think everybody has pretty much hammered it away. Hammered that in. I think with anything that we deal with, if you don't have foundational principles that are guiding you or are leading you in the way that you need be, one thing that we know for sure is that you'll always have a foundation, whether the foundation is evil or the foundation is good. If you don't have a righteous, ethical foundation, somebody else will come in and replace it with something. So you'll always have something to springboard off of. It's just a matter of what that is and what is the intent of the individuals who are giving it to you. So without a foundation, a righteous foundation, you're pretty much finished.
Okay. All right.
Well, I had wanted to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how people say, be friends first. Friends first before intimacy versus intimacy first and then friends. It's impossible to just go straight into an intimate relationship with someone and it work, and it's successful, and then be friends later. But being friends first is that foundation as well. It's building that bond, building that understanding of who each other are to one another. And then the intimacy follows, I feel like that's the most successful route, So I just wanted to throw that in there.
I want to throw a pushback, not really a pushback, but I want to add to what you said, right? So what do you say to those that because this is totally outside of what we're about to talk about, but I want to comment on what you said. What do you think about those like arranged marriages? I had to throw that little curveball in there.
But arranged marriages, you're getting to know that person. You are getting to be, you and that person are becoming friends. So it's still the same process to me. It's still the same structure to me as well. Arranged marriages is not just I don't know. That's a good one.
I want to throw something in there where I was going with it, because it's still going to hit to the point that you said. Some cultures, and I believe within our cultures, and it's those in our modern culture right now, Israelites. I know a few communities to where they'll be planning to bring their children together. We spoke on this during the practice run, I believe. But with that, they're building a relationship as children, and the parents are watching. Parents planning it, like, okay, we're gonna put our children together, see how they interact and all that. We're not gonna force them to be together, but just see how they connect. If they don't connect, let's see how these other children within our community connect. So now when it's arranged and they get married, boom, they already knew each other. Now it is some communities to where that's not the case, but they know the family. So it's still hidden, to your point, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
So, Any more thoughts?
Salika.
Go ahead.
So what about the opposite? When both are adults, do they still court in their adult stage versus when they're younger, they're building up their relationship, the momentum of who that person is, the personality, the characteristics. So let's spin it when you're adult, when you are an adult. Do you just go straight to being married, or do you have a courting process as well during an arranged marriage?
You pulled in another topic out here. We're gonna have to throw this because
throw it in the archives.
Yeah, we got to put it in the archives. But I can briefly, quickly answer and put my thoughts on that. Definitely courting, especially because a lot of us in this community and outside of this community, we don't have that family connection of community ties with other families to where, you know, we have a relationship with the family, we have a relationship with the brothers and stuff like that. So you have to court. It's like you literally have to court. You know, it's not, we don't have that that luxury like we did back then. But we definitely got to talk on that too. So courting definitely in a topic. Anybody else want to jump in with what she said before we go to
Chief
the
had a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Oh no. I mean, it's courting. Let me just backtrack a little bit before we went to the courting issue, and just looking at the like even with arranged marriages. You know, the funny thing about arranged marriages nowadays and how it's being presented is you'll have two groups, you know, two families that might be in the same general ethnic background or whatever, but they're coming into a situation not even really understanding or knowing each other. So in these modern arranged marriage situations, they can be kind of it can kind of be detrimental. It's almost like what do you call that? What is that thing? What is that process now? They got, it's like all over the media now, where not race, not like, it's like you go into these little restaurants or settings and you sit down and you talk
like
to somebody for 30 seconds.
Speed dating.
Yeah,
What's it called?
Speed
dating.
Right. It's kind of in that same vein. I mean, you're going in really not understanding much about anything.
Chief, I used to speed date all the time, man. I used to go. No, I'm playing.
No, I mean, it just.
Go ahead.
I mean, you know, it just doesn't. You know, I mean, you're going in, and that's pretty much what what the whole dating, the whole marriage environment is right now. It's nothing but speed dating. No one knows anybody. The only thing that we know is that we can have sex. That's it. We have sex, and then after that, we'll figure things out down the road, which normally doesn't pan out. But in arranged marriages in ancient cultures, we lived among families, clans, and tribes who all shared the same ethical values. Okay. And so to the point where that Mor Shema and Geber Sharon was saying is that you have you have children that are brought up, raised up together. They're in the same community. So a lot of the things that they normally, that an adult couple would normally have to kind of hash out, you know, as adults, these children, they don't have that problem because everything that they need to know about each other, they've known it for years, from 5 years old all the way up to their marriageable age. So when they go in, it's really not much else to discuss except the particulars of now, you know, about being married. So if they're brought together in an arranged marriage, so much information, so much things that could have been a stumbling block for regular adults have pretty much been dealt with years prior. So the arrangement is a much smoother situation in the ancient context. It's difficult nowadays because, again, you know, we're talking about sometimes the culture differs from congregation to congregation.
Yeah, camp
to camp. And so it can make it, you know, it's made a little bit difficult, but it's not impossible. It's you know, it can still be done, but it's not going to come without the necessary work. So,
Okay. All right. Gabera, Kathy, did you have anything to say before we move to the first topic?
No, sir.
All right.
Good.
Let's go ahead and get it started. So, the first topic of tonight is there too much freedom in marriage/family today? Is there too much freedom in marriage today? Now, that question, I just want you to go ahead, you all to answer that however you feel, whatever direction that question moves you into. I'm going to pull up a little meme to go with it after I hear some of you all's answers. So let's start with Gabera Kathy. Got to start with you.
Well, first of all, I would like to know your definition of freedom, because that word is very broad to me. Is there, again, what do you consider freedom to be? Freedom to live according to today's standards, freedom to have male and female friends and there's no boundaries, freedom to come and go as you want. That's what I need to know in order to answer the question in regards to marriage. Now, regardless of family, I look at that from my children's perspective, meaning that I have control over my children to a certain degree till they get to a certain age. So I feel like I have control over their freedom to a certain degree. Again, like we discussed earlier, when they walk out of the house, and I'm not there, they're dealing with someone else. But I can look at their phones. I can see what they're entertaining. I can check their grades, and get to know their friends' parents. So I have more control over my children's freedom. But as far as a marriage, I need to know what that word freedom means. Okay. What is your definition of it?
No, you were hitting it on the nail. You were hitting it on the nail. I kind of wanted to hear your organic thoughts about the question before I throw some stuff in there. So I'm gonna come back to you. Let's go ahead and go to Chief Zebulon. What's your thoughts on the question? And like I said, you did hit some good points. We probably could revisit some of the stuff you actually said about it. So Chief Zebulon, let you go ahead. What's your thoughts on that question?
Kane, my position is pretty much in the same line as Gabera Kathy stated, but my focus would be not in opposition to what she said, but in addition, I would actually focus on the definition of marriage, because I think the term marriage has been the not just the term, but even the institution itself has been eroded. Like it doesn't have any intrinsic value today. Like, so today when you hear people say I'm getting married, it's more about the ceremony as opposed to the relationship and the marathon. Everything is about the moment. And so it just becomes, it's almost, especially in the African American community, marriage is almost an exercise in futility, in which one or more parties don't even benefit from the institution itself, because we don't really know what it means. If you ask people generally, well, what does it mean to be married? Their definition is a legal definition. It's like, we get together, we get married, we go down to City Hall or whatever. Then it's like, okay, yeah, maybe, but what does it mean? Like, as a lifestyle, as a lifetime process, what does it actually mean? And this is when you start drawing blanks for people, because it's just like the term love. It's one of those terms that we've used, but when someone scrutinizes and says, well, define it, you realize that we really don't even know what these things are anymore. What is marriage? And if we can't figure that out, then it goes right back to what Gabera Kathy said. Well, what is freedom? So I think these terms and these institutions, they have to be defined and redefined in order for there to be any real explanation as to what they mean and how they, and how they influence our daily lives, and how, and how we go about building these infrastructures. If we, we have to understand what they are first. So that's my initial take on it.
Hell yeah. The better Sharon. What you got? What you got? I'm passing the mic.
I would have to agree. What I do find interesting is that even for myself, and Sister Kathy kind of like hit it as well. She pinpointed it out for me. Even for myself, I find it interesting that the word freedom, we're sitting here trying to define what do you mean by the word freedom? But I understand completely what you mean when it's subjected to a child. But as an adult, what do you really mean by that? So I find that quite interesting that it is a distinguish, between the two. And I would have to say yes. And even for my children, it is a lot of freedom there, because the influence is so overwhelming. And what I mean by freedom is that, it's so much they can have access to so easily, But as far in my marriage, I would agree that I had freedom. I don't think it's too much. I've heard that I had too much, but I don't know how to answer this without getting very personal about it.
Okay. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring one of the I'm gonna bring the meme up and throw some context, because like the better Kathy said, it's very broad because there's so many points we can hit. And then the freedom within a marriage is kind of subjective too.
Yeah.
It can be a standard that's nation for a nation, right? But still within the home, it's still some subjectivity in there, right? So what I want to do is just bring an actual topic up in regards to this freedom to kind of paint a picture. Now, this is not the sole subject pertaining to freedom, but this is a good topic that I'm about to bring up. Let's see. Let me share my screen.
It can be, freedom. You can. It goes as broad as mental, physical freedom, spiritual freedom.
Mm-hmm. So let's read this, right? So, and I want to pinpoint some things that it's saying, not the whole thing itself, but it says, stop letting your children walk to school. All right. Let's start with that real quick. Stop letting your children walk to school. I'm gonna give my thoughts on that. And then we can pass it around. I'm gonna go down to the bottom. It says be in groups at all times. I want to kind of use that example. So stop letting your children walk to school. I know that people do it. Shoot, I've done it when I was a child. My mom had to. She had no choice. But what I want to add to that part of not having a choice, that goes back into the community talk we was talking about. A lot of things, some of these things that's mentioned right here wouldn't happen if we had community. Wouldn't happen if we had standards or structures and we, went off the literature like, what we identify with. But it's a lot of children that walk to school by themselves, have friends with them will be, a solution, right? A neighborhood of friends. All right. So the next one, stop letting your wife be out by herself. Whew. I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna let y'all talk on that one. I think that these are good points. Some people will think that they're kind of extreme. But the truth of the matter is we're living in a time now, and we're living in a time back then where children can get snatched. Women can get snatched, or women can be pursued and violated versus being snatched. It was a conversation I was hearing someone talk about, women going on girl trips. with each other, out of state, out of country. You know, this is a topic that people will be like, man, well, that's too extreme. But I understood the point of the men that was speaking on it. They was like, man, you know, they make sure they're there. So if it's a trip the ladies going, they're gonna go too, but they're gonna be close by. So if anything takes place, they're there to protect it because that's their job. So I didn't have a dog in the fight. I was just listening. I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting conversation. So I'm gonna pass the mic. Let's go ahead with Chief Zebulon. You available to go ahead and give your thoughts on this this meme? Still there? All right, let's pass it to the better Kathy. Yeah, I'm coming for you. Get you to pull some of that wisdom out.
Okay, so I definitely agree with the allowing your children to walk to school. But again, let's just be realistic about the makeup of the house homes today. Oftentimes, that's not readily available. Again, you got to look at the land and when we're living in. I think there are other measurements that you can take to ensure your child's safety to and from school to the best of your ability. Again, maybe that's when cell phones come into play. You know, you guys, have a routine where you text your parents when you leave the house, you text them when you get to school, that GPS is turned on. Again, there's different measurements you can take in regards to that. As far as stop letting your wife out by herself, when I was traveling to work, I live in Baltimore and my job is in Laurel, Beltsville, which is an hour commute and an hour commute home. I typically would drop my husband off in the morning and then I would get on, 95. But we had a routine that I text him when I got to that office. Even though I dropped him off pretty much a block away from his office, he'll text me and let me know that he made it to his desk. And I'm a project manager. I'm out in DC, Virginia, and Maryland. There's times that he can't be with me. That's part of my job. But he's also taught me about my surroundings. I'm from Virginia. I trusted everybody, thought everybody was good. He was like, you need to look up, be aware of your surroundings, because anybody can run up on you at any time. But when we're together, there's certain measurements that he takes when we're walking down the street with each other. Again, he is on the outside of me. He's in the position where if a car jumps up on the street, it's going to hit him first versus me. Don't fall behind.
Most high forbid, but go ahead.
Right. Right. But, not that falling behind, walking side by side with me. And I'm, as far as the sex organ and sacrifice trafficking, I'm more up on the trafficking. I am really thrown back by the sex organ stuff. I'm seeing more and more about it. I would like to do a little bit more research into that myself, because what I'm finding or hearing is that Black organs are more valuable than any other ethnic. And I know why, but I would like to know why they think so, and especially from a medical perspective. And that's what I have to say.
And what about the part that I mentioned about like traveling?
I love to travel. I did again with me being a project manager. I was traveling Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I'm originally from Virginia. Before my husband and I became a husband and wife, I still was doing a lot of traveling back and forth to Virginia. Again, there's just certain conversations that you have before, certain guidelines that you and your husband put into play and agree on. You know what I mean? Because I honestly wouldn't want my husband to go on a man's trip and just say, I'm outie. I'll see you when I get back. Okay. I'm not trying to breathe down your neck either, but how are we going to work out this communication? Because at some point you should have some itinerary of what you guys are going to do. as far as my husband and selective, friends or members of the congregation being close by, I don't feel that, because again, that means that the sisters are going to be close by. We can protect you as well. It's again back to, what you've taught us in a line of defense. People look at women and think they can't be trained in martial arts, or they don't know how to do what their husbands are doing. So it could go both ways. I'm his rib. I'm there to protect him as well. But, on the flip side, with a husband like that, I'm there and I got 4 or 5 of my other sisters in the vicinity of where you are going. And let's go back to, again, the word freedom. And let's incorporate trust. And like, Chief said, let's define the word marriage. That all goes back to that.
All right, let's pass the mic. Chief, you available? He must be tied up. All right, let's pass it to Kabet Sharon. Can you hear me?
Okay. I just wanted to pinpoint the different era that we're living in, the different times that we're living in, because when I was growing up, I was walking in school. I was walking to school in rainstorms. I was walking to school in snowstorms. I was still walking to school when that DC sniper was killing people randomly, and we were still walking to school. So my thing is, from at what point of time did it change drastically for parents or for children to still not be able to walk to school? I understand the times that we are in, people are crazy, people are losing their minds. It is sex organ sacrifice trafficking going on. Let's look back at the college young man. He was in college. He was missing for about a month or 2. They just found him. His eyes was out. His organs was out. I don't know if y'all read up on that story. So it's definitely real out here, but also it goes back to trust, like Kathy was saying, and not trust as far as your relationships, but trust in the part that, you have faith that the Almighty is going to be, is going to oversee and is going to, shield and is going to watch to and fro when your children do go to and fro. However, yes, if you are available to take your children to school, yes, take them to school, Stop letting your wife be out by herself. I have to play the devil's advocate because I'm guilty as charged. I love traveling with my girls. I do. I used to always, maybe because I always equated girls when we travel, it's like us living outside of our husbands sometimes, or living outside of our children. So it's like a rejuvenation period time for women. Yes, that's kind of subjective, but with me, when I travel with my girls, it's kind of like, it's kind of like getting that freedom, that freedom we've been talking about. It gives me a sense of freedom a little bit. I'm guilty, y'all. I love traveling with my girls. So what was, hold on, you took that off really fast.
I took it off. It was up for a minute.
Yeah.
You hit all the points. Like you all said, we are living in a different time today. It is a lot more things that's in place to allow us to be more protected than we were back then in ancient times anyway. So we could move that to the side. So we're gonna go ahead and play the first song of the night. Take a little break before we get to the next topic. Shake ourselves, stand up, get a drink of water. We'll be back. We're going to go ahead and play the first song, and that is Simple by John Boy.
I don't deal with things that are above my strength at all.
Simple, man, I keep it simple, like real simple. You just live in water and go and watch my temple. My body's built for that long road. And all these demons looking for a rental. Hate evil souls, but they love me. 4 drivers, it's me and 3. And I ain't taking no L's, unless it's low drive or BMV. God is your money, you making it hard. Revolution of muscle, we making it start. The road can get rough, now you wanna get off. This light is so bright, I can never get lost. You think they can't get it right? Cause they life was so simple. The best thing I could've ever did in this walk was keep it simple.
I don't deal with things that are above my strength at all, at all. I don't deal with things that are above my strength at all. Simple.
I'm built like to lift 10, staring at like 20 tons, then realize I ain't gotta lift it. Sirach 3 and verse 21. No shame in my game, fam. That's just not my lane, fam. What you think is deep ain't that deep. You losing your brain, fam. Astrology and numerology, some things get dumb to me. All I do here is keep the laws, and whatever else it'll come to me. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. In case foolishness run to me. Proverbs 8 and 8 equals Proverbs 16. That there's a sum to me. Your life never changed. What you gonna do? You still looking for fame? What you not 42? You don't keep it simple, you is simple. That's different from what we trying to do. Cause if it's not 1 John 5:3, then it's Proverbs 1:22.
I don't deal with things that are above my strength at all, at all. I don't deal with things that are above my strength at all. Simple.
Simple. I just keep it simple. I wake up in the morning, have my wife make me a cup of simple. A plate of simple with some simple sauce on the side. I go on about my simple day, doing my simple things in my simple life. This is real simple, family. We making it hard. Gotta keep it simple.
All right. That was John Boy Simple. And for those that's tuning in right now, again, you are tuning in to YAH Conscience Radio. Well, if it's not YAH Conscience, it's not acceptable. We're going to go ahead and get into the next topic. All right. And it is society's influence undefeated with our children? Is society's influence undefeated with our children? So when it comes to our children, is society undefeated? Are they winning? Are they winning with the influence? What are you all's thoughts? I'm not going to pick. I'm
Absolutely. Like, it's,
go ahead.
I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have, I have no comment.
No comment yet. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm gonna do real quick. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring. I got actually two things to show in regards to this question, and you know, a lot of us we grew up on comic books and stuff like that. Some of us, some of us know who Superman is, even though I don't like that Superman. I know I rode with the other Superman, the black Superman. I think it's Calvin. I had to show y'all that if y'all not familiar. I think his name Calvin. But let's take a look at this new Superman comic book that's supposed to be coming out. I don't know if y'all saw it, but it goes a little something like this. What in the world?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
The push is real. Now, everyone needs heroes. Superman will come out as bisexual in new DC Comics story. Now, it's not actually Superman. It's supposed to be like his son, but we still get the point.
They are pandering to every category, to the homosexuals, heterosexuals, every category. They are going to pander or push whatever to every category. Right now, the homosexuality category is winning. It is winning, and it's the influence is so overwhelming. It's utterly unbelievable sometimes. You know, you have drag queens showing up to libraries reading to little children. You have books.
Yeah.
And I made sure I try to read articles, and I make sure I try to do my research on this stuff. You have books that talk about children's books, child books that is exposing or that is talking about homosexuality, liking the same sex. It's okay to be different, So it's funny because I posted this topic. Well, not this topic, but the homosexuality topic, Moray. I posted that in my Instagram story, and I got a lot of feedback about it. But I just feel like the homosexuality, it being so pushed, especially to the youth, it's not giving the youth a chance to embrace natural law.
Right.
It's not giving them a chance to embrace organic intimacy between a man and a woman. They're going straight to the jugular,
Right.
So I'm flabbergasted. Actually, it's the push. It's just so overwhelming at this point. It's very overwhelming.
Let me take this thing down real quick. I'm tired of looking at it. It just looks weird to me.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. And if you think about it, how crazy is it that Black people, we've been in our position for what, 400 years, right? Still counting. And you get these these homosexuals, and within almost a year, they have more rights than Black people will ever have or have had. Think about that. Think about these rights that they have. Think about all the backlash and like the cancel culture. You can't say nothing about them. You can't, even if it's not a homophobic comment, even if the comment is innocent, you can't say nothing about it. Your rights will literally be stripped away with that. Yeah.
And they say they feel that we should be equality. So if they're on a train or something and they see a man and a woman hugging, or a man and a woman, showing some type of intimacy, not bad intimacy, but just normal, then they're like, okay, well, we should be able to do it too. But the difference is this is naturally what creates a man and a woman. You know what I'm saying? You're pushing these things, and it's a good thing we're fairly new too, because I haven't really looked into the rules on what we supposed to be able to talk about on YouTube. So this is our first show, but we ain't, we ain't big enough for them to pull nothing down, I think. So, but going forward as we continue, I guess we're gonna have to censor if we're gonna use you. But yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, let me propose a question. Has anyone seen the Dave Chappelle show?
Yep, the new one that just wait. You mean the Dave Chappelle show or his last
Netflix?
Yeah, his last
with Netflix.
Stand-up. Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sums up everything that we can even throw on the table today. Like, Sharon said, they were able to create a law and protection for themselves by banding together in such a short time. As he mentioned in his segment, he referenced that he wanted the old school homosexuals back because they had a place in time. It wasn't like they enjoyed that. It wasn't like they were out flaunting it in people's faces, and it's very bad for these kids. We as parents can be sitting there looking at a nice program with our children, then all of a sudden, you being faced with, with this.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel bad for them. I really and truly do. Especially go to homeschooling. If you can't homeschool your children, then they're going to a public place that may respect the fact that, a boy that deem himself a girl, can go into a girl's bathroom and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, where do we draw the line in the sand? Where does the protection come for for these people that don't fall into this realm? You know, like where is their protection? You can't say anything. If you do anything, it's a hate crime, or it's not fair. It's really not. It's really being shoved down our throats, and I just don't think that's fair. At all.
And the one of the things I think about, like, as I'm listening to what you all are saying, it's causing us to create schools. Like, it's in our community, we got people creating schools, which is good, our own schools and things like that. But they're making it so tough to the point where we could come off to our children as overbearing. And, that causes a whole nother dynamic in the home, depending on if you are a Israelite to where you're not a part of a community and you're trying to push this on your children, but your children is going to a school that's not, not homeschool, not in a community setting like a Hebrew school. Now, their biggest influential environment is school. If you're a parent that works and stuff like that, they're going to get more influence outside of the home than inside of the home. So now it's definitely looking like, okay, well, now my mom or my dad is overbearing. It's nothing. What's the big deal? So they're causing more turmoil within our home. So that's why I keep going back to, community, buying land and all that stuff. And I know a lot of us got a lot of things that we're invested in, work and things like that. That's a tough thing. It's just a decision thing. So the point of me saying that is, it seems like the only way that we can prevent our children from being so exposed to this is by having like our own land, our own community, and coming together and doing actually what we supposed to believe within our literature. But it will ignite a form of sacrifice, and it's going to be up to the people if we want to do that or not. So, Chief, you still there? Tied up. All right. So, with the so the influence, is it a way for us to take that win away from society? So I put a couple of points out as to what I believe can help us, get the win over or get a little bit of the edge. What do you think are some things that we can do to, get an edge over on the influence that society has on our children? What are you all's thoughts?
We have to be interactive with them.
Mm-hmm.
And for an example, me and Sister Kathy, we are currently trying to come up with a Zoom platform for our younger women in its truth. That's the only way that we can stop the influence is by being hands-on, interactive with them.
Mm-hmm.
All the way. It's no other way. Hands-on, like hands dirty, hands-on.
Right.
So it really takes a village. It's going to take in order to see the results. When you apply it, in order to see the results, it has to take a village. It has to take a collective. That's the only way we can kind of like see society's influence on our youth and its truth and its culture. We got to keep living the Torah, but we got to keep it interesting. We have to be good examples for them as well. But most importantly, keeping the Torah interested for the youth and pandering the Torah according to the type of youth that you're dealing with, that okay, they'll stick with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. What you got, good bear, Kathy? What you got?
Okay, I totally agree. And I'm excited about that. That also requires us as parents to be engaged, unfortunately, with the memes that you've shown, the articles. that appear in the newspaper or what's being reported on the news. And doing so, it allows you to open that dialogue, have that dialogue, with those children, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to come to you and say, the majority of the girls in my gym class are gay. And I felt like they were looking at me. I felt, strange or whatever. Or even if they just want to ask, why does it seem like this is the norm now? You don't want to take that away from them, the opportunity away from them to dialogue about that. Like Sharon would say, we have to keep them engaged. The other thing, what I love about Sharon, she moved, of course, to Georgia from Baltimore, but she was, the teacher here, along with her sister Corba. Sharon's gone now. Corba's in the adult class, and now we have the middle-aged adults, teaching the little ones. So it's not just, our thought process and our understanding of the Torah. We've now passed the torch on to these young ladies that are teaching the younger siblings, and they're doing it in the right way, but they're also doing it in a dialogue, in a communicative way where these young children can understand that sometimes we as parents may kind of drift away from and don't have that level of understanding.
I agree. That's some great points. I want to change the narrative of the question really quick. Hopefully we get Chief back, but until then, he's seen this video. I know that Barry Cathy, you didn't see it, so I'm going to give me a second. Let me pull it up. And what I want to do, so the question is society's influence undefeated with our children, right? So that's the question. But now I just want to say, so we make up a society, right? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the things that we were speaking on was the stuff that they're trying to push on our children. But this, what I want to bring out, is dealing with what we're pushing, what we're causing to or embedding in their makeup, in their thought makeup, on how their actions, what comes out when they, on a day-to-day basis within their adult life. So I'm gonna show this video, and we're gonna watch. I think it's like 5 minutes. We're gonna check out the whole thing, right? And then when we come back, I'm gonna play another song. Then we're gonna go ahead into the commenting about the video. All right. So let me go ahead and share it. I think it's this one. Oh, here we are. I'm trying to figure out which one it is. I think it's this. Oh, it is. There we are. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do you all see it? Okay. I'm about to play it now. And let me know if you can hear it.
Accused of killing a man, fatally shooting a man earlier this.
Can y'all hear that?
Okay.
I'm about to let it play now. I just wanted to make sure you all can hear it. Here we are.
Week. And here's why. Because she refused, or he refused to kiss her. I kid you not. That's it. All right. So a woman is accused of fatally shooting a man earlier this week when he refused to kiss her and instead asked his girlfriend for a kiss while the three were hanging out and drinking at their Rolling Meadows home. This is in Cook County. Cook County prosecutor said at her bond hearing on Saturday. Let's put up a picture of the young lady again. Let's put a picture up. Okay. That's Claudia Rosadez Flores. Miss Flores has been arrested. For what? Well, for murder. Miss Flores, 28 years of age, had recently moved in with the couple at the Preserve at Woodfield apartment complex at 4700 Arbor Drive. That's a northwest suburb, according to prosecutors and Rolling Meadows police. While they were drinking on Thursday, and I just got to remind you, you can't drink with everybody. While they were drinking on Thursday, Ms. Flores allegedly requested the 29-year-old James Jones for a kiss and became jealous when he refused and instead turned to his girlfriend and requested a smooch from her. So wait a minute, here's what's happening so far. You have three people inside of the same apartment complex. You have a man, you have his girlfriend, and you have a third person. Well, the third person, Ms. Flores, says, give me a kiss. The man, instead of doing that, he turns to his girlfriend and they start kissing, okay? That's when Ms. Flores got jealous, her demeanor changed, as she demanded he kiss her again, according to prosecutors. When Jones said he wouldn't kiss her again, according to prosecutors, said he wouldn't kiss her, Ms. Flores took his gun, which was tucked between the couch cushions at the home, and aimed it at him. Wow, it gets deeper, okay? She takes the gun after the man refuses to kiss her, and instead he kisses his girlfriend. Now, I'm bringing this story to your attention because there are three victims here, additional victims here, not really talked about in the headline, nor the narrative. It's kind of buried beneath. The man tried to push the gun down after he saw Ms. Flores' finger on the trigger and watched her take the safety off. Prosecutors said she then allegedly lifted her arms and shot him once in the chest, killing him. The man's girlfriend called 911, and responding officers found the handgun in the living room, prosecutors said. Ms. Flores allegedly admitted to shooting Jones and was charged with first-degree murder. Now, here's the saddest part of this whole story. I know this is already a very horrible story. Very sad. Nobody wins here. There are children involved. Miss Flores is married, okay? But separated from her husband and is the sole caretaker for 3 young children.
All right, let's stop there. There's about another 2 or 3 minutes left, but I think we got the gist of it, right? We got the gist of it. I have a couple questions dealing with this. First of all, going back to the topic, is society's influence undefeated with our children? You know, so we talked about them pushing certain things on our children, but also society is a makeup of, you know, people, men and women, boyfriend, girlfriends, husband, wives. So the children are still seeing what goes on with them as well. Why did this man have his firearm tucked in the couch? Why is it not locked up? You all are drinking. You know what I'm saying? You're not taking into consideration. I think a lot of times too, we forget, like, we have children. So this woman, she went off emotion. She killed the man, and she has 3 children. He said that she has 3 children that no one else takes care of. So, what kind of precedence is set, or what kind of, you know, what's set for those 3 children? You know, that trauma that they're going to face. You know, then when they read about the story or hear about the story when they get older, if they're all, I mean, I don't know their age right now. You know, what pivot does that point them in, or direction to point them in, as far as, you know, their life? You know what I'm saying? So those are the thoughts that was going through my head when I was watching that video. You know, what's your all's thoughts on that video? Anyone can come in.
It sounds like it was a lot of drugs as well.
Right.
To me, it sounds like wrong place, wrong time a little bit. it's just unbelievable. Some things just leaves me speechless. Believe it or not, you know, it really leaves me speechless.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't understand why we don't understand about guns. You know, why haven't we got to a point in society where keep your guns up, put your guns up? You know, why haven't we retained that information? Why haven't we applied it? You know, it's so many thoughts. It's so many thoughts with that video. It's so many thoughts. It reminds me of so many other stories just like it. You know, when a woman, she was on a Zoom call, and her child was playing with a gun and shot his mother in the back of her head on Zoom. You know, to me it's like cultural and scripture wise. To me, this stuff is expected. So sometimes when I hear stories like this, I kind of like get desensitized toward, because I feel like it's expected. You know, these are the signs of Jacob. These are the signs of the end. You know, I feel like we're not done yet. It's going to be many more stories like this. It's going to be many more people who's going to have to perish. It's going to be I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I guess at this point I'm kind of desensitized. Very desensitized.
You said
Are we a better example for our youth? Not that much. Not that much. I could say we're trying, but we can do a lot more. We can do a lot more.
Okay. What you got for us, Gabrielle, Kathy? What you got?
I'm I don't know. I'm all over the place. I don't know. I mean, a woman maybe looking desperate, just wanted affection, love. I mean, I don't know. And again,
jealousy
to make
too. It was jealousy and
right,
too.
yeah,
You know, sometimes you can't do things with everybody.
right.
You know.
And then again, just the mentality that it's okay. I'm not trying to be funny, but I was looking at a CSI Miami, and it's old, but this lady was brought up on charges because the guy wasn't able to perform when they went to do the act. She's married. She was married. He went to take the blue pills, and he was like, "This is all because of you." She became enraged and grabbed that towel handle, a holder off of the wall, and he pushed her into it, and it fell off, and she grabbed it off of the wall and beat him to death. Well, you know, beat him. Like she was really emotionally hurt by that rejection.
She killed him?
Yeah. Well, later on in the case, it found out it wasn't the blows to the head that she did that killed him, but just the mere thought of that, like,
yeah.
And let's flip the script. You know, there's a lot of men out there, if you want to bring that topic up, that are quick to blame women for certain issues and become enraged and kill these women or try to kill them, you know, because they didn't react the way they wanted them to react, or they couldn't perform the way they had in their mind they wanted to perform. I mean, this could go in so many different ways. And again, just the mindset to think that you can just try to kiss somebody or ask someone to kiss you, they don't do it, then you go to someone else. I mean, like, where your head is. Like, you know, Sharon said there's a lot of drugs and alcohol that play into this, you know.
But they was a couple, so it was. They was
married. One was
right.
When he said no to that woman, that wasn't his wife. But then he went and kissed his wife,
right,
in front of her. So
right.
Yeah.
But didn't she also then ask the wife for a kiss?
No, I don't think that was in there.
Okay, I thought I had got that, but
Yeah.
I mean, again, something is still just wrong there. You know, like, why you mad?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, why you mad?
It's something that they missing out. They not telling us the whole story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something left.
Absolutely.
And guys,
Unless the husband was also messing with the woman as well. Yeah. It's definitely some loopholes in that story. And it's definitely and it definitely pinpoint the dangerous how dangerous emotions can be, how dangerous emotions can turn, how deadly it can be deadly.
And that's
according to certain circumstances.
Right.
That's why when we go back to the scripture, it talks about a false balance is an abomination to the Most High. So, you know, it's nothing wrong with emotions, right? Like women, there's nothing wrong with women being emotional. There's nothing wrong with men being emotional, but it needs to be you got to check your emotion, like be balanced with your emotion. You know, to not do something like that. That's now you put yourself in a situation to where your children is out of luck.
Right.
You put them in a bad situation.
But don't forget about our mental health situation here, people. I mean, you know, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people out here have underlying mental conditions that they may not be dealing with day to day, or circumstance. They could be caught in a certain circumstance and make them aware of it, and it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be real with ourselves. I mean, we've all exploded at some point in time and said and maybe have done things that, you know, we didn't want to do and we regret it. We're just thankful enough that it didn't go to that point where we got our face posted all over the news and the newspaper in regards to it. But I mean, let's look at ourselves on that aspect. You know, what triggered you to get to that point to say, throw these things or do whatever. You know, we all grew from a certain point, I would like to think. You know, we weren't always to the point where, well, I need to communicate with you. I need to talk to you. You know, it could be ill verbally, you know, or not. And I'm not going to put physical out there, but just like I said, throwing things or slamming doors or whatever. That's also a level of poor communication and understanding.
And that's why I want to add to that and bring a little pushback. Is I agree with you as far from a standpoint of like we wasn't always there, but that goes back to that foundation. It goes back to, and I guess people could say it's easier said than done, but I don't agree with that statement. I think that we want what we want, right? If we want to do something, we do it. We choose the stuff that we want to do and improve on. We choose the stuff that we want to add to our life. We choose. So why not choose to better ourselves? Just a lot of background. To better ourselves. Now, some people don't know. Some people don't even see themselves, right? But that goes back to the community thing I'm talking about. And the problem is we're in 2021. I think we are in a place to where we could come together and have a communal safe haven for those that might be going through what you have mentioned, you know. But the truth of the matter is people are not really wanting that. They wanting other things. They're not wanting to be a part of community like that. They're not wanting to have elders over them that bringing them wise counsel. They're not wanting to choose friends that are not yes men and yes women. They're not wanting that. So these are things, you know, like you said, we're learning through our walk right now. But our job is to share this information to those that, you know, hopefully it'll touch someone that might want to add this to their life. So that's my thoughts on that.
Okay.
That's my thoughts on that. Let's go ahead and play a song, and we're gonna go to the last topic. I want to see that Chief Zeb popped off, but we're gonna go ahead and play one more song Well, no, not one more song. A song, and then go into the last topic. All right. Let's go ahead and slow it down a little bit. Slow it down. Bring us some Zamir again.
Don Camilo.
You get my praise, you do. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. You get my praise, you do. My praise, my praise. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. You get my praise, you do. My praise, my praise. Oh, we supposed to be grinding in the spirit, do your part. We supposed to be a light, but you living like the dark. You on the opposite side, living the opposite part. I'm on a constant strive, in a race in my heart, in the fight by the daily. Carnal thoughts, that's a war. Let me pull out my word. In this battle, my sword. Gonna cut up the enemy in this spiritual war. How you gonna fight a battle with your sword looking door? Make them wonder, you can't see what I'm on. I go Stevie, I get all in my zone. Gotta walk by spirit, I can't walk by the sight. Gotta watch by faith, cause that's my spiritual. I keep my eye on you. You get my praise, you do. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. You get my praise, you do. My praise, my praise. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. You get my praise, you do. My praise, my praise. Oh, demons be creeping, they wanna jump upon you. Try to get up in your mind, they wanted to destroy you. People be throwing slanders, they wanna see you fall, but they be shocked when they see you standing tall. Have my back against the wall when I think about my life. Probably see me then, you would've thought it was alright. Whole time I was falling from a spiritual height, but now I jumped aboard, I'm on a spiritual flight. When I send up a prayer, I put a demon to flight. Now I got on my armor, cause I'm ready to fight. Got my lamp lit, hoping I can share some of my light. Had to change quick, cause I knew I was playing with life. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. You get my praise, you do. My praise, my praise. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. Oh yeah, you get my praise, you do. You get my praise, you do. My praise, my praise. Oh, 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 oh yeah. Give the Most High all your praise, your praise, your praise, your praise, your praise. Give him your praise, your praise. Give him your
All praises, hallelujah. That was Zamir Yaron with praise. Zamir Yaron with praise.
That was nice.
Oh yeah, good art, good R&B, truth artist. I got a lot of songs for y'all. I might play mine next. You know what I'm saying? So
How
the
do I
next,
get this over to him? I want to send you something.
oh, you got some songs?
Yes, it's actually Sharon's brother, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get it over to you. Ronnie, check your text message.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had
Email.
I got your text. I couldn't pull up the link though.
Okay, I'll do it on a side note, but I wanted you to play it.
Okay, hip hop artist, singer.
You do praise music, like
Praise
it's
music?
like praise hip hop.
Okay. All right, yeah, we gotta throw it in there. This is YAH Conscious Radio. You know,
Yeah, it's
gotta
pretty good. And
get
I'm
this
not just
going.
saying that because he's my brother, but it is. It's good for him.
All right, I'm gonna throw it in the mix. We're gonna play it. All right, so we're gonna go with the last topic of this evening. You playing it right now? Was that?
I'm good.
Oh. All right.
I clicked on it in error.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and did y'all have anything to say in regards to any of the topics we had so far? You're already going to go to the last one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
All right. So the last topic of the day, or the night, or the evening, is submission in the Bible versus submission in the world. Submission in the Bible versus submission in the world. So I'm gonna lay out a premise. I'm gonna lay out a foundation to this topic, right? So I saw a video. I'm not gonna play the video, but I saw a video of actually someone in the truth. Well, I don't know if she's in the truth. She might be, but after I spoke with Chief about her, because I was wondering if he knew who she was. Like, she's big into parsing, and I don't know if you all are familiar with parsing. I'm sure you are. I'm sure. Are you familiar with parsing? Parsing the text?
No.
Okay, good, cool. So basically, parsing Koine Greek, or the Greek text, New Testament, and parsing the Hebrew text, what you're basically doing is you are breaking down the word in its original form of what it was before it was translated. And it's basically grammar. But one of the things when I was talking to Chief about it is, and he brought this out, and it made so much sense to me, because before I started parsing, a lot of the things that this group I'm about to mention was finding out or teaching, I knew just from studying properly, like studying the culture, studying the context, consistency of the text, the history. So parsing is not like something that is like so magical or something. Like, if you know how to parse, then you know more than someone that might not know how to parse. That's not what it means, right? But it's a group called you ever heard of a group on Facebook? They call themselves Paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
You have?
I recall.
Okay, so Paradigm is which is paradigm, right? They call themselves Paradigm. And the person that kind of started it, he is a professor of Semitic languages, Hebrew. I can't even think of the other three. It's like three more ancient languages, and he started teaching a lot of people how to parse. But interestingly, when he started teaching people how to parse, I could only name 2 people that remained in the truth. Once people started parsing, it took them away for some reason. And when I talked to Chief about it, I was like, man, I wonder why it's doing that. I'm like, I know how to parse, but it didn't take me away from this culture, this walk. And what he has said, that's why I was hoping he was on right now. But one of the things he has said was, they wasn't really rooted. It was like it was something to do. I'm saying I'm not giving his words justice right now, but I'm just saying it my way or whatever. So they wasn't really rooted, And now with the Paradigm, what they're teaching is, well, the leader of them is, and I'm not against this, but he's teaching, the women and the men, but his teaching is like, you don't need nobody. Learn for yourself, which is cool. I get it. Learn for yourself, but it's not a foundation, right? Without a foundation, it cannot stand. It's no foundation to what you're trying to get out the parse. So with the submission, the woman that was interviewed or brought on this platform was with a group of women. I don't know them personally, so I don't know how they view the scripture, how they view men, X, Y, Z. But you know how you can know certain subjects and you know a pattern of how people speak about those things. And what I was gathering, it was like, okay, they was trying to make it to where it was no, I won't say gender roles, But I wish I played it. I should have played the video. But long story short, she went into the New Testament, and I think it's Ephesians when it talks about submission and things like that. Then she went into Colossians, I believe, and she was showing the words in there, and she was basically showing that the word is not meaning like submit. Sometimes she'll say it did, but then another time she didn't. Now, Chief studied Greek. I really don't. So when I was showing him some of the things she was saying, he knew what she was saying. But then she went to Colossians. And in Colossians, she said something about she parsed it in her way, and she parsed it in a way that it said, the woman is to array besides the man, like in a military fashion. I know none of this is making sense right now, but long story short, they was trying to bring the submission off. But then they had one that had said, well, we're not saying not to have leadership and things like that. So I said, okay, look. So when I talked to Chief, I said, hey, I see what she's doing, but it's dangerous what she's doing. I said, this is why I want people to learn the language, but I'm not big on telling them to parse. Study the culture. The culture will answer everything. Study the context. The context will answer everything. So if you're saying this is not saying that, we should be able to look in the Apocrypha. We should be able to look in Tanakh and not see or see what you're trying to prove. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'll come back to my points. What are you all's thoughts on submission in the Bible versus submission in the world? Submission in the Bible versus submission in the world. An example of submission in the world would be, a lot of our women and men alike are afraid of this submission. But when it comes to the world, they will submit to their bosses. They will submit to the law. They will submit to, if they play sports, they'll submit to a captain. When you think of business, you got a CEO and you have a COO, right? You have a 51-49 type of thing. So those are things I'm just throwing out there. What's you all's thoughts on the whole submission in the Bible versus submission in the world?
I did have a question for you before we.
Kathy, you talk about it all the time.
Okay, go ahead.
But I'll come back to my question in regards to what Morey was talking about. But one of my favorite things to talk about, and for me personally, I'm finally happy to have found someone that I can be submissive to, and that is appreciative of it and does not take advantage of it. Just like any man or woman, sometimes you might even say, hey, did you come on, did you like it? Did you say thank you or what have you? But I grew up, my grandmother installed in me to be a very strong woman. Again, like I told you guys before, I grew up in Christianity. My grandmother installed in me to be very, very strong. I didn't wait for anyone, meaning a male, to do anything for me. If I could do it, I did it. I managed my bills. I did, whatever I had to do in regards to my kids. And for me, it was tiresome. And I didn't know that it was tiresome until I got with someone that was really worthy of me being submissive in the Torah way, meaning he understands his position and I understand my position. Because at any given point, if we fall from that, I think by us believing in that and knowing that and seeing and understanding that guideline, we're not pulling each other's, tailcoat based off of how we feel. We're doing it based on the Torah. I need to talk to you about this. According to our understanding, we supposed to be doing this. This is supposed to be happening. But again, it's taking a big relief off of me to a certain degree. I still battle every day being that strong woman and trying to understand what my role is. And the more and more I understand it to the degree of the Torah, because, and then let's go back to the freedom, because he does not take away from who I am as an individual, you know, that artist, you know, that professional woman. He understands the realm of what I have to do day to day to bring in coins for this household, or to continue to grow. But it just feels good to be with someone that understands, like I said, our roles, and if we fall outside of them, to be able to have that conversation and reference the Torah to bring us back online. It's not all worldly and what's going on and what your girlfriend experienced and what your girlfriend boyfriend got her. You know what I mean? But that's me. And again, I'm a lot more older and mature, and what I've described, what I had to do it for a long time with the most militant attitude of support. And it shouldn't be that way. That's it.
But before we go to Better Sharon, can you ask the question that you have for me before you forget it? Not saying you will forget it, but the question that you have for me. You said you had a question for me. You're muted. Yeah.
Oh, yes. It was in regards to, you know, your translations. Was it the and let me correct me if I'm saying it incorrectly. Parish. When you parsing. I'm sorry. Correct. Did you mean from a Hebrew translation perspective?
No, she was parsing from the Greek, because the New Testament is Greek. Koine Greek. It's a form of Greek. And so I mean, they say some Matthew is in Hebrew, but that's a whole nother conversation. But she was just parsing. So an example of parsing can be, this is real simple. This is the bare minimum of parsing. But if you saw a word like mishpatecha in the Hebrew text, you know, you're going to break it down. It's going to say your family, right? But that's not a great example. So one of the things when people parse, if they don't know the word itself, you can look up the word, look up the number, and you can see the definitions of what that word is. I'll give you a perfect example. I had got on the platform, a Sonetta platform, and his wife, or I guess one of his wives now, is a sister that's in the Hebrew community, but she is his wife. And I went on there, and they was talking about Bereshit, Genesis, and they was on, I forgot what chapter, but it's when it says that they will become like us. When God said they will become like us. And I was telling her, like, that word is not will become. That word is YAH, right? She doesn't speak Hebrew at all. What she does is she's regurgitating what's being taught in our community. You know what I mean? Now I'm changing the topic right now, but I'm trying to give you an example. And, you know, I'm on their platform. You know, when you're on somebody else's platform, they rule that you can't really come like you want to. And she was like, well, you know, brother, that's the what's the root? I'm like, well, that's the root. The root is YAH, you know, but then you got Yihye, you know, you Liot, to be, Yihye, will be. You got YAH, which is was. I said, but contextually, this is saying they was like us. How can I prove that? Because when you go to the first chapter, it said, let's make it in our image and our likeness, right? So they was like us. So let's remove them before they not only be like us, but add to this false information that they're getting. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to teach doctrine right now, but, you know, and I was trying to explain, you see that premise all throughout the text. Every time the Most High gives something to us and we start going against it, he removes himself away from us or pushes us away. That's the same thing. So, but that's a form of parsing, like knowing what a root is and knowing what, like sometimes the root word won't be the conjugation on a new word that's there. So you have to parse it, see what it means, see what it's saying in context. And this sister, even though she knows how to parse, she is forgetting the contextual context, historically and culturally. I'll give you a perfect example. Now, one of the things I say is, hey, you either going to be about this culture or not. I'm not one of those men that say, do what I say. I won't do that, because I believe that we both have to protect each other, like you said. You know what I'm saying? Some people believe that it says you are a rib, right? It's a different Hebrew word for that, but I'm just going to say what people believe it to be, a rib. So what is a rib supposed to do? Protect the organs, right? The things that causes us to live. So in order for us to live properly, we need that our wife to protect us. She's our rib. So we both have moments in which we're supposed to submit to one another. Some men won't like me saying that, but that's the truth. But that's what any team, that's what any business, you have your roles, and then you have that one person that might have the 51%. You got the 49, but guess what? Your business or whatever you got can't go without the 49, nor the 51. The 51 just makes those crucial decisions, but can't make the crucial decisions without your guidance and your thoughts. So they was going away from that. And I'm gonna bring one scripture out real quick. Well, some won't call it scripture, but Sirach 26, right? And Sirach 26 and 14. The whole chapter is really good, but I'll read 13. It says, the grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Most High, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Some people will look at that. Let's read 15. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued. Some people look at these things and think that it takes the value away from a woman. I think a woman and a man, but we're talking about submission, but this is for both man and woman. I think anybody that can submit has a lot of strength. I think if you have a level of patience in some circumstances, if you have a level of restricting yourself from doing, like you had said, like the woman that shot the man, even though it's a whole different scenario. If you have a self-control, you know what I'm saying? It's so many different topics in regards to submission. My point is, submission that's being pushed out there, whether in the truth or outside of the truth, I don't believe it to be understood. That's just my point. So I'm gonna pass the mic.
Say it again, Monray. You don't believe it to be what?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
What do you ask? What you was asking?
You said you don't believe
it to be understood.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't believe it to be understood on a large scale. I'm not talking about like the remnant of the people that really understand the culture. I'm talking about on a large scale. I don't believe submission is. I think submission has a like a bad name to it. But the problem is we when it comes to
absolutely.
I feel like the only place where our literature or submission doesn't has value is in the home, but we do it outside of the home with everybody else.
Right.
That's my point that I'm making. I believe that the home is the pinnacle of everything. Without man and woman, society wouldn't be here, community wouldn't be here, businesses wouldn't be here. So if this is the most important thing before anything, why do we give everything outside of home more reverence and things like that than within the home? So that's what I mean when I say I don't think submission is understood as far as man and woman, but we understand it at work. Yeah. We understand it if we get pulled over.
Right.
We understand it when we inside of a courtroom. We don't cuss at the judge. I mean, some people do, but most people don't. So, and I'm gonna say this last thing. I'm gonna shut up. I understand the what we've been through. I understand trauma and stuff like that. I understand sometimes fathers not being present, or the dynamics of why we got here. But it still goes back to, it's 2021 now. We learn everything else. We study being doctors. We study being everything else, but we won't study being husbands or study being wives. Some will say, well, the father got to be there, the mother. I understand that, and I agree to a certain extent. But what about when the father's not there, or the mother's not there, but you're still studying for everything else, you being successful? You can study to be that good husband, good wife, and learn how to submit to each other. And with that, I yield.
Kane, I agree. Kane, absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to pinpoint the point where you said that submission gets a bad name. It gets a bad name, definitely with the sisters. And that reason being because they feel like submission is like worshiping, or it's always put in a negative light, where submitting is actually what becomes a woman. Also, I feel like a woman has to really operate or be in a certain environment to submit, or she has to experience the results and the nourishment that you get from submitting in order for it to not be a bad name. But since a lot of sisters have not gotten that good of an experience, the reputation of the word submission is going to continue to be bad. Speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that. Well, when I used to work, I don't work anymore. But when I used to work, I kind of like treated my job like I treated my household. I just had the luxury of, just kind of like finding a balance, and creating that balance for myself. You know, when you read about submission, even in Torah, when did it become gender roles? When did it become navigated or targeted strictly for a woman? Because when you read it, it's really no gender roles. It's for, like you were saying, Moray, it's for man and woman. It's for man and women. But I do want to throw in here really quick. I always had this theory. I talked to a few people about it, but I said, wow, when you go back to Genesis, right? You read Genesis and you read what happened after we did what we wasn't supposed to do. And the Almighty gave Adam and gave Eve their curses, per se. If we play word semantics, their consequences, right? And the consequences for Adam is, you're going to work, the sweat will be, you're going to sweat from your brow, things like that. For Eve, it was, in sorrow you will bring children, and your desire shall be towards your husband.
Right.
So I always had this theory, like, okay, how was the relationship or the dynamics before those particular consequences that made us kind of like that made the balance between man and woman. So how was it, or how was it supposed to be between men and women before those consequences was handed down to us? Why, when Eve did what she did, the Most High said, in sorrow you will bring children, your desire shall be towards your husband, and he shall rule over you. Mm-hmm. Why was, I always had a theory, like, why was that pinpointed out? Like, how was it supposed to be between men and women? So it makes me go back to what you were saying about the sister, as far as she teaches things like men and women side by side, like military style. So it kind of brought that theory back up into, it kind of brought that back up. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation, and what you brought out with the I think it's kind of like, okay, Y'all didn't listen to me. You wasn't obedient. Since this is the part you wasn't obedient on, this instruction that was given to your husband. Now I'm gonna make sure that you got it to all things now, right? But I think since he wasn't like set or stern and like, because if he would have still, if he wouldn't have took that information, right? If he wouldn't have took that information, you know, not blaming
kind of like just went along with it,
right? Instead of, okay, now I'm gonna make you go out there and you're gonna sweat, you're gonna work, you're gonna, you know. So I mean, I guess we will never know. I just feel that now, since that was done, I think that and the direction I try to go with it, and this is the last thing I'll say in regards to it. The direction I try to go with submission, I always try to take it away from man and woman and then put it in business format, because I feel that's like one of the best ways for people to understand. It's not that we're greater than you. Right. It's not that you're greater than us. We actually is bringing that balance. You know, that my azan, you know what I'm saying? False balance is abomination, remember? So it's like that fifth, when you think of companies cannot succeed without the partners or the COOs, you know what I'm saying? Or even the people that's just the regular employees, you know, without anybody, it can't function. So if we can look at it more so, and I don't like, I want to be careful when I say this, because I stay away from the word, and I don't know if you all do, and I'm not pushing it on anybody to say that, but partner. Because like when you think of companies, right? The COO, let me ask you, is a COO and a CEO, are they partners?
Supposedly, they fall into the realm of what is considered stakeholders, regardless of what your title is. If you have any sort of percentage of investment in the project or the investment, they are considered partners. They may have a different contract, but you are still in partnership in regards to establishing one goal, if that makes any sense.
No, that's perfect. That's amazing. I'm glad you brought that point out. So my next question is, with that partnership, doesn't that mean that neither one, from a standpoint of just the partnership, is greater than the other? Not in the final decision making, because I know the 51%, 49%, I'm still sticking on that. So I understand like somebody might have a higher percentage. So they get that, they got a little more of that say, in a sense. Go ahead.
You're correct into a sense, but I get where you're going, because yes, they are. To answer your question, if you want to look at it from a business perspective, then yes, they are partners, because regardless if you have 10%, 50%, 70%, if you don't own 100%, you have to communicate with all of the other investors. And get their agreement in order to move forward with whatever decision, whatever investment or whatever decision they're trying to make. You can't make it on your own. So yes, that is a form of partnership. But like I was saying in the beginning, your contract may be different, and that's what I mean by contract. Your ownership and the investment may be less or greater than. But if you don't own all of it, you come into the table with people.
Right.
If you own all of it, you can tell everyone else to kick rocks. You can coordinate a board meeting and say, this is what I've done and this is what's going to be.
So what does the person that has the most percentage, what sets him or her apart?
Again, that percentage is a great weight. But again, you can't do anything without that additional percentage. You get that 70% can offer to buy out.
Okay.
The other 30%. But
in the case of a CEO and a COO, how does that work?
Now, let's get something straight. A CEO can make a business decision,
right?
Which means Right, which and let me define the difference. You're not talking about a financial, you're talking about a structure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So my husband can come home one day and say, look, I want to change this whole dynamic of this household. He has that ability to do that without conversing with me first, and the same as that person in that business perspective. But as far as he coming home and we on a deed together, on a lease together, you somehow you want to sell this home. I don't care whether you put 70% down, I only put 30% down. Both of our names are on that deed, and we can't make any financial sale or even what is it called? Buying out against your loan. You know what I mean? You can't do that without the two signatures up there. So that's the difference.
I got you.
You have a structural, and then you have a structural freedom, and then you have a financial restriction. That's the difference. As long as that business decision, that action decision doesn't impact their financial, he doesn't have to sit there with a board of people and make that decision. He or she.
I got you. Maybe I'm not wording my question right, but I'm gonna come back to it on another topic. On another topic, I'm gonna come back because I don't think I'm making my driving my question / point a little bit. But I still appreciate, because regardless of me driving it or trying to bring my point out, your point is still making the point I'm making, and that is, it takes a collective for something to move. It's not just one-sided. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I yield. Did anybody have anything else to add to what we're speaking on? No? All right. Good show, good topic.
I've obtained a lot of new information as well.
It's
in a new perspective.
And I'm probably gonna reach out to you all once I get what I was trying to get out. I know me and Chief, we talked about it. So he definitely, if he would say, he could have probably opened up a little bit more of what I was trying to bring out. But again, it's still the better Kathy still brought forth good information in regards to the decision making for the success of a company or a union, or that's the point that I was trying to drive out as well. So I appreciate you for that. So without further ado, we are complete in our topics. Any closing remarks, any solutions that you think that could be beneficial for a foundation when it comes to man and woman, when it comes to family in general?
I just wanted to say really quick about submission. If we was to define the word submission, it's just yielding to the authority of another person. So sometimes when you yield to the authority of another person, we have to remind ourselves that maybe that person see the bigger picture, So it's also yielding to a good decision, and a good decision for yourself and your household as well. So it's not just yielding to a man because he's a man and you're a woman. It's also yielding to the betterment of your life,
Exactly.
So
exactly. And I love. Did she fall or the phone fell? Oh, the phone fell. There you go. Yeah, I like that you said that, because you might your wife, might have the expertise that you don't have. So the man, in that regard, depending on what that situation is, will submit in wisdom to his wife that is an expert in what it is. We all have strong we have things that we're stronger at. Women have things that they're stronger at than men in regards to intellect or anything, you know what I'm saying, and vice versa. So that's what we need to get to, and that's kind of where I was
get
at.
That understanding, but it's a disconnect.
Big disconnect, and there's no foundation as to how we're going to move, and that's the point too. Just having that foundation as how we should move, So with that, I yield. And for those that's listening back, may the Most High bless and protect you. That's it. Shalom. Till next time. YAH Conscious Radio. Well, if it's not YAH Conscious, it's not acceptable. Shalom.